it's nothing new to have people question what the government is doing. In fact, we had instances like this before in 1917 when Charles Schenck went against the United States in trying to resist Americans to join the draft of World War I. And Charles Schenck at the time was thinking that it was not our fight, that we had no business being there in Europe. That was their fight. And so that mindset, though, had never been on such a large scale. It had never been on such on a nationwide scale before, where you had so many Americans now start to distrust their government. Well, it came to a head during this time when America got involved in Vietnam, as many Americans now feared that we were becoming what we were set out against. That we were not supposed to be this imperialist nation. We were not supposed to be this nation that oppressed freedom. We were not supposed to be this nation that lied to the public. And many Americans felt that that's exactly what's become of the United States at this time. That this Cold War mentality, where we expanded our military actions, where we started to get involved in other countries' affairs, it just made many Americans very angry. And especially with Vietnam, and how many Americans felt like this was never our fight to begin with, and how many Americans are dying over there, and how we're actually destroying cities in Vietnam, people were lashing out. And people weren't just lashing out just because of Vietnam. They were also lashing out thinking that the societal norms that they wanted Americans to fit into, people didn't want to accept that. People were sick of what was expected of them. And people were lashing out. People were going to these anti-war protests. People were joining this hippie movement that involved a lot of activities that would make people blush even today. So what did the hippies do? Well, they did whatever, basically. They did a lot of drugs. They partook in a lot of activities that were just quite questionable. Even now, you have many hippies that were still, if they're still around, they'll tell you stories that you're like, I can't believe I did such things. And so, but they were trying to just express themselves in a way that just, they wanted to go against what it was expected of them culturally. They wanted to go against them, what they viewed was, suppression of their voices, trying to limit their expression. And they just were just sick of what America had become. We had become a land of division, where we were divided racially, where we were divided spiritually, and we were divided in how to approach the world. And so this counterculture movement, led by musicians like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and others, and they were able to sing these songs that reached a lot of Americans in their disapproval of Vietnam, their disapproval of what our government was doing. This became a cultural shift in America, and even now, you still have people distrusting American government and having songs of protest against our government even now.